What's it like in space? Gravity on Earth vs the Moon since Apollo 11. Many more astronauts have traveled in space. Scientists have learned that there are many differences between Earth and space. One of the biggest differences has to do with gravity. Remember that gravity is a force of attraction that pulls things toward one another. The force of gravity on Earth is pretty strong. Even the best jumpers can only jump a few feet off the ground. Try it and see. Remember that on the Moon, astronauts Aldrin and Armstrong were easily able to jump up high. They didn't come down quickly either. Instead, they seemed to float down slowly. That was because the force of gravity on the Moon is not as strong as on Earth. The Moon is not as big as Earth, so the force of gravity is not as strong on the Moon. Floating in space, if you think that is cool, wait until you read what happens out in space, away from the Moon or planets. Out in space, astronauts do not feel the effects of gravity. They and their spaceship are moving freely in space. Since the astronaut and spaceship are moving freely together, the astronauts look and feel as if they are floating. Astronaut inside a spaceship. This astronaut is inside a spaceship in space, where the force of gravity is less. When you are free of the effects of gravity, it is easier to do flips and cartwheels. Eating in space. Eating is different in space too. I'll bet when you eat lunch at school, your food stays where you put it. If you set it on a table, it stays there until you pick it up. The force of gravity holds it down. But if you were up in space, you and your food would be moving freely together. If you let go of it, your food might drift away. Astronauts with floating food look, no hands. These astronauts' lunches appear to be floating. Other differences: air, sound, and temperature. There are other differences in space besides less gravity. Do you remember that the astronauts on the Moon had to carry tanks of air for breathing? Another way outer space is different from Earth is that there is no air or oxygen at all in outer space. Look again at the image of the astronauts inside the spaceship. The astronauts are not carrying tanks of air. That's because oxygen is being pumped inside the spaceship. Since there is no air in space, you also do not hear sounds in outer space. It is also very cold in space. The astronauts must train many months before going into space so they know what to expect. Do you think you would like to go into space someday? Earth from the Moon. This is what Earth looks like from the Moon. Can you name some ways that being in space is different from being on Earth?